Al Heyman, look, we want Smith, then I think we'll probably, and it would probably be down to Heyman to make me an offer rather than, and I don't think Eddie would stand in the way. It's not like I'm 21 years of age and I'm one of Eddie's like prodigies, who he's looked after and who he's protecting. I'm 31 years of age. I'm not, signed to Eddie. We've done a 3-fight deal last time, and we're probably going to carry on going forward. But I'm not signed to anybody at the moment, so I could fight on Al Heyman show. I could fight on Top Rank show if the offer came. And but going forward from my own point of view, I'll be fighting with Matchroom and obviously with Eddie. But that's what us planning our route. Whereas if we were to get offered a Jason Rosario or a Julian Williams, Charlo, anybody like that, then Eddie would not stand in the way for me to fight on a Heyman show because they don't get on.
Yeah, I mean, I guess now that we're talking, I guess from the first standpoint is, well, what was your reaction overall seeing that fight? Because Williams beat Hurd. Hurd hasn't got a rematch due to his rematch clause yet. Then he loses to Rosario. Like, just overall, how were you surprised with that fight that just happened? In January, I believe they fought.
I was more surprised with Williams and Hurd than I was with Rosario and Williams. What Rosario done to Williams has been done before, and Julian Williams is a good fighter and a very, very good fighter. He does lots of things very well, but I do think he's suspect, to the chin. I don't think he holds the best shot. I remember Charlo dropped him with a jab. So I don't think Julian's got the best of chins. Maybe it's down to being at 154, but it's and like I said, what Rosario done was just basically what Charlo done, and it was a good statement for Rosario. But Williams beating Hurd was more surprising. I thought, he boxed out of his skin, and it was the first time I've thought Jarrett Hurd looked tight at the weight, like physically, not not like in the face. I mean, performance wise, I thought Jarrett looked one paced and not as like relentless and as solid and tough and rugged as he usually is.
Okay. And in terms of Patrick Teixeira, you mentioned him briefly. He is the new WBO champion. He has one loss. He lost to, if I'm not mistaken, Curtis Stevens.
Yeah, 1 round, yeah.
Yeah. What do you think about him overall as one of the champions at any weight class?
Obviously, I think again he's a new champion, but he's also probably one of the weakest of the trio, really. In Charlo and Rosario, but a good fight in his own right. Only lost to Stevens. It was a 1 round job, I think. If I'm not.
Yeah, it was by knockout. Yeah.
Yeah, in 1 round, and I maybe have been at middleweight, but he's a good fighter. He had a good win against Carlos Adames. Good southpaw, and he's world champion now, so I expect him to go one better again. But it's a fight that I'd like, and it's a fight that I'd be very confident in going into.
Just moving forward with the weight, I guess moving forward with boxing, right? There might be no audience for who knows how long. It could be a year or two. How do you feel overall not to see your fans to come see you live? And that's a sporting event. I know for a fighter, it must be great to have your fans cheering for you when you're landing a punch, when you're getting a knockout. How does it feel for you? Like, is it more pressure, less pressure with no fans moving forward?
I don't know whether it'd be more pressure or less. Well, you know what? It will be less pressure because a lot of pressure comes with, I get a lot of fears in going into a fight in front of 20,000 people, and I know at any given time we could be on the end of a bad knockout, which is sent round WhatsApp groups. It's shown all over Instagram, and and that's a big fear of mine. And obviously, with no crowd there, if I was to lose, it still may be shown on the telly, but if you're to lose, then you're not really losing in front of anybody, and you've got no embarrassment, if that makes sense. But it would still, there'd be a lot of pressure to still have to G yourself up for it's a fight at the end of the day. You're going to fight and you're going to perform and earn money, and it would be hard to perform with no fans there. That I feel, and I don't know whether I'm still curious to see if the shows are going to go ahead behind closed doors, because I can not see it working.
Yeah, and I think even Eddie said it at one point that maybe more than ever, like for example, as like for a country, right? Like U.S. is going to be more domestic fights. You know, U.S. fighters going against U.S.
Yeah.
fighters, and for you guys would be more British fighters versus British fighters until who knows when things get back to normal. Is that you feel like it's going to be the new trend until
I
things
hope
get
so.
better? Okay.
I hope so, because the one I want is the Kell Brook fight, obviously, and that's a British fight. So if that's the case, it will make it easier to make. But you know, I hope not. Being totally honest with you, I hope we can still all have the fights, and because a lot of titles, especially in my weight, all the titles are abroad. You know, in the US, and then you've got Teixeira and Rosario. So you know, it's going to be interesting to see what goes on in the coming months.
Yeah. One thing I
Hope
want to,
it.
yeah, I was going to tell you. One thing I want to emphasize real quick is that, more importantly, you know that boxing has loopholes. You know, a lot of fans, you know, they want to see the best fights possible, right? And sometimes from a business standpoint it could be hard because the money's got to be right for you guys. And one thing I
Yeah.
tell the fans is you guys are prize fighters as well. You guys got to make the best money available that you can make, you know. And you know, just moving forward, do you feel like to keep the to bring boxing back more than ever, do you feel like the best got to fight the best more than ever, even if you guys got to take a pay cut, knowing that you guys won't get some money from the gate sales with no fans?
Yeah, I think, you know, we look, if you I'll make two examples of like, just say fight pieces. We will just say, you know, if you're gonna get $100,000 a fight, but you have to wait till November, or maybe till the crisis is over, or you know, if Eddie comes and offers you $50,000-$60,000 to fight in 2 weeks' time behind closed doors, you know, I'm sure you're going to take the fight in 2 weeks' time for less money, because you need to earn money. And you know, I think something needs to be done of like, you need, if we do take a pay cut and maybe fight behind closed doors, then we need to be out more regularly than, you know, we should do. If we're contracted to 3 fights a year, maybe should have 4, you know, for a bit less money. And but again, there's some of the things that I'm interested to see, because I don't know how shows behind closed doors are going to generate money for, you know, for fighters. I know TV pay money, but surely the promoters are going to have to take a loss on shows. And I'm sure some promoters might do it once or twice, but they won't be doing it.
Yeah.
You know, they won't keep on taking losses on shows. They won't keep on hitting their own pockets.
We'll go back a little bit. You mentioned the fight you want domestically is Kell Brook. My question in regards to, you know, it's yourself versus Kell Brook versus Amir Khan. Do you feel like it's starting to become a trend where maybe fans, like, this is no disrespect, I respect Kell Brook as well, but do you feel like he has some of the blame where the Khan fight hasn't happened yet, the fight with yourself hasn't happened yet, and you know we're still talking about it in 2020? You know that those
Yeah.
fights should have been made 3-4 years ago. You know, if that makes sense.
No, but I feel with Brook cannot really call Khan, because I think Khan avoided Brook because of the fear of losing, and I think Brook cannot call Khan now, because Brook's doing the same to me, if that makes sense. You know, I've never really chased Khan. You know, I wanted to fight with Brook because Brook came to 154, and Amir Khan's never come to 154. He's never announced he's moving to 154. I know he fought Canelo, but he's never announced I'm moving to 154, whereas Kell Brook has. And Kell Brook's moved to 154, but then mentioned Mikey Garcia, Danny Garcia, Terence Crawford, all fighters at 147. So I don't know how it made sense. I don't get his logic. You know, if he gets a Terence Crawford fight, then good luck to him. It's a massive name, and it's a fight on a massive stage. But if he doesn't get the Crawford, then and he doesn't fight me, then he can't really call me a Khan, because you know, if he doesn't get a world title, then probably the next biggest fight for him and the biggest money fight for him is a big fight with me in Britain. So I don't know why
Yeah.
I don't know why he doesn't do it, but you can't really call Khan for avoiding him because he's.
Okay. And from your perspective as a okay. In regards to you as a pro fighter, should fans consider him overrated or underrated in terms of skills and his resume and from a competitive standpoint of his resume, the fighters he's fought?
Brook, you want about Kell?
Yeah, Kell Brook.
No, I don't think he's overrated because I do think he's a very good fighter. Do I think he's past his best? Yes, I do. But he's a very good fighter. He's fought good fighters over the years when at the timing was everything. And obviously they don't look good wins now, but even as British, it's even better now because Porter's still gone on fight with Errol Spence, and Brook lost to Spence in a good fight, but he was beaten. He was well beat, and he made an okay performance against Golovkin early on until Golovkin was too big, too strong, and too good really. But I don't think Kell's overrated. I do rate him as a fighter. I think he's a good fighter.
Nobody has really discussed with you, and I know there's been a lot of headlines from where I'm from in America. Danny Garcia has mentioned that 47, his body's growing, and he wants to move up to 54. Errol Spence is also big for 47. We might see him in 54 and down the road.
Yeah.
Are those also fights that you would challenge yourself? You know what? Come up to 54. Let's fight. Let's make the money.
Yeah, I've never really thought of Spence, but Danny Garcia, I've always loved that fight. I've always thought I would love that fight. Obviously, I know it has never been talked about and it's not realistic, but with him going to 154, that is a fight I'd love with the Danny Garcia. He's not a world champion, and I do think fights like that can be made, but I do think myself, I need to be back in the picture. I need to either fight Teixeira and beat Teixeira, or fight a Brook and beat Brook. Jesse Vargas, that's a fight I'd like. The Vargas fight. That was very close to being made before he fought Mikey Garcia. That was near enough done, and we got the Garcia fight, which again I've got no qualms about that. If they get a bigger fight and bigger money, the same with Kell Brook. If he fights Crawford, who am I to stand in the way of that? Good luck to him. But if they don't get them big fights, then I think they probably should fight me.
Makes sense. A lot of great talent at 54. One thing I wanted to get your perspective is, I want to pay my condolences to the Tony Harrison family with his father that passed away.
Lost his father, yeah.
Due to COVID-19, like I said, it hit the boxing community very hard. I talked to him in regards to, he fought Charlo twice. Yeah. And Twitter could be an entertaining way to make fights and fighters going at it. And the prime example was Terrence Crawford and WBC champion Jermell Charlo. They were going at it, and Bob was talking about that he would love to have Crawford at 154 fight Charlo. Harrison responded based on his fight with Crawford that he was able to push him around. He thinks that based on Terrence Crawford's skills, and because he's a physical guy as well, he thinks he could beat Jermell Charlo easy. Do you agree with, I guess, his predictions or breakdown of that fight?
I wouldn't disagree with him. I think it's very much possible. So I wouldn't say he doesn't know what he's talking about, And if you were to tell me Terence Crawford's fighting Charlo in 2 weeks' time, I'd have to sit and think who I think could win. Terence Crawford's a very talented fighter. Very unorthodox. He can do everything. He can box southpaw. He can box southpaw. He can fight southpaw. He can fight orthodox. I think he's got everything, Crawford. And size might play a part. Might even the fight out a bit more. On a level playing field, Terence Crawford wins all day. But again, there's weight classes for a reason. And 154 might be a bit too far for Terence Crawford at the moment because Charlo is a big 154. He's not a short or small 154. So it might even itself out with the size. But I would probably agree with him and sway towards Crawford.
Crawford. Okay.
Yes.
What about the other great talents of 54? We have Lara, we have Castano, we have Lubin. I feel like more than ever, every year they have like the World
Yeah.
Boxing Super Series tournament. I feel like
Should be
154 could be.
154. Yeah.
I
The
would be.
154, where the 154 would be so good is if you picked 8 fighters, you could probably name another 4 fighters who have missed out and think, wow, they missed out on that tournament. They could easily make that tournament just as good. So that's where it's good now, the 154s. And it's, I look at it a while back, there was a lot of world-class fighters, but then you had some elite fighters kind of just dominating the division for the division. Canelo held titles. Lara was a little bit, not unstoppable, but like untouchable, avoided. When he was in his prime, he was in the who needs him club, and his age has got to him a little bit now, and Jared really showed him up, and then Castano did also with the freshness of them, and he showed he could be pressured. But I've always knew that with Lara, very skillful fighter, but he can always be dragged into a bit of a dogfight. Angulo done it to him, and the blueprint's been there from Angulo, and Jared done it, and then Brian Castano done it. Brian Castano's one of the, I wouldn't say hidden gems, but one of the silent ones who is very underrated. He's a good fighter, and I probably pick him to beat Teixeira, Castano. He's a good fighter, but the division now is full of very, very good fighters, but no one who is absolutely elite, who's going to just dominate the division. And that's what makes the division very, very good again. Like you say before, you touched on it before. Williams beat Heard. Heard beat Harrison. Williams beat Heard. Rosario's beat Williams. Rosario's got a loss to Nathan Gallimore.
Mm-hmm.
So it's it's a wide open division. Charlo's just lost to Harrison, and then beat him in the rematch. He's not unbeatable no more. So it's good, and it's interesting again, and it's good that to be in the mix with all them fighters. We'll obviously just getting back into the mix with them.
Yeah, as they say in boxing, styles make fights, and 54 is a great testimony to that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think there's some good matchups to be pitted against themselves there if you looked at all the 154s.
One of the things that most of the fans that DM me about the interview I was going to do they said that even after the fight with Canelo and I believe Munguia, they became fans of yours. The country of Mexico. They asked me to ask you in terms of if you have to compare and contrast speed and power between Canelo and Munguia, what would be the similarities and maybe the differences?
Obviously, I've done a lot of interviews lately about Munguia, and he's a fighter that I like. At the time when he beat me, I would have loved the rematch straight away because I was very, very inactive and he was very active, but he was also very green. He was novice. He made lots and lots of mistakes, but his activity was my inactivity killed me a little bit in the fight. I hadn't fought for just over 10 months, whereas Munguia had 4 or 5 fights in the space of 6 months. I think he fought January, February, March, or some December, February, and he stepped in for me when I pulled out against Saddam Ali, and he obviously won the title. Then I fought him next, so he had a lot of momentum, and yeah, I think that played a big part in the fight. But regarding Munguia and Canelo, no, I think Canelo was just well too good, too cute, too experienced for him. Power, slightly edged towards Canelo. Variety, Canelo all day. Munguia was relentless to a certain extent, but again, green and made mistakes doing so, whereas Canelo was accurate, his time and his patience, and Canelo was, I know Munguia was world champion, but Canelo was leagues above. It might be an interesting fight next year. Munguia's got older, he's only 21 at the time. But I like him as a fighter. He loves a fight, and he'll fight anyone. So he's not one of them who avoids people. So I've got a lot of respect for him.
Yeah. Just speaking a little bit on Canelo, I know you want your brother to avenge that loss for you, or you get the rematch with Canelo down the road if offered again. But what makes, like, in other words, I'm pretty sure your brother's gonna be watching that fight with you and Canelo and other fights to prepare him when he gets that fight. Why should people bet their money on Callum Smith to beat Canelo when that fight happens, especially because Canelo fights at 68 now?
Yeah, I think I do think even they know it. He's a big 168 Callum. He can punch. He can he can fight. He can take the body. And I think there's an awful lot of departments he can match Canelo in. But also, I just think he's a great fighter, Canelo. But if anybody's going to beat him and anyone's got a chance of beating him, then I think it's Callum. And I think Callum's got as good a chance as anybody about now. The thoughts of Canelo, Charlo, Canelo, Andrade, Canelo, Golovkin again. And as much as I do think Golovkin won the first fight with Canelo, I think he's past it now. Golovkin, he is over the edge, and I think Canelo does a good job on the next time.
Yeah. One thing that I always tell fans, I said the same thing about so for example, right? People criticized Teofimo Lopez before he won a world title about, that he didn't look good. He should have knocked the guy out, 3 rounds or whatnot, but he went the distance, but he still won. Same went from Callum, but people don't understand that it was a great fight between him and John Ryder. Sometimes,
Yeah.
When a guy has nothing to lose and he trains his heart out, sometimes it happens.
Yeah.
So for Callum, I told people, don't criticize him for one bad loss. Like, let him bounce back. Like,
Yeah,
if he gets a big
exactly.
fight, he's,
That is just sometimes the fickle sport with it, before, you'll have had people before the John Ryder fight saying he'll be Canelo, and then after the Ryder fight saying he's shit. And, it's sometimes, it's the nature of the beast of sport within. But the Ryder fight was, a lackluster performance from Callum, a very good performance from John Ryder. Callum still won the fight. And it's one of them that you just have and you move on. If you look at a lot of fighters, especially great fighters, have them in the career. You know what I mean? And but every big fight Callum's had, if you look at the fights he's had, he's performed. And I think, no disrespect to John Ryder. John Ryder's a top lad, and we get on with John Ryder, and he's a good, solid pro. Boxed some good fights over the years, but from Callum beating Groves and going into big fights, and beating Hassan Madam in Madison Square Garden, and talking about Canelo and Golovkin and Daniel Jacobs, to then fight John Ryder, who is a domestic fighter from Britain, who's got losses to Rocky Fielding. As much as it was a very close fight, Rocky Fielding as well, Callum blew Fielding away in 1 round. And I know boxing doesn't work that way, styles make fights, but I just think it was a fight that was very hard for Callum to get up for, and the performance showed that. But performances in when he's being picked to lose, he's performed. And you look at his English title fight, his British title fight, European title against Mohammadi, the fight with George Groves. Every time he's been picked to, some people have picked the fight as a 50-50. Callum's performed, and he's performed well. And give Callum a Daniel Jacobs, give Callum a Caleb Plant, Billy Joe Saunders, Canelo, Golovkin, and you'll see him performing. That's what I'm hoping for as soon as boxing's back. I hope Callum gets either one of them big names, because he deserves them big names. He's paid his dues. He's worked his way through British ranks, European title to a world title, and deserves them star names now to test himself.
Okay.